The story of the Ten Commandments. The children of Israel had traveled through wilderness vast as dreams, their feet walking paths dry as summer winds, until they reached the foot of Mount Sinai. Rising before them majestic as dawn, the mountain stood against the desert sky peaceful as prayer, its slopes gentle as shepherds' paths rising toward clouds soft as temple veils. Around its base, the people made their camp, settling like birds coming to evening rest, their tents spread across the desert floor numerous as stars. While anticipation filled the air gentle as spring breeze, Moses, his steps steady as mountain stones, guided by wisdom ancient as creation, prepared the people with words flowing smooth as stream water. For 3 days they waited, patient as gardens receiving rain, washing their garments and preparing their hearts. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, quiet as midnight in temple courts. On the morning of the 3rd day, dawn touched the mountain peaks soft as mother's fingers. Clouds gathered around the summit dense as dreams, yet bright as polished silver. Thunder rolled across the sky gentle as distant drums, while lightning illuminated the clouds peaceful as stars appearing at twilight. The sound of heavenly trumpets floated down, clear as morning light, yet soft as evening prayer. The mountain itself seemed wrapped in divine presence, smoke rising like incense in holy places. The people stood at its base, their hearts beating quick as bird wings yet steady as temple foundations. Moses' voice came to them calm as still waters, telling them to remain peaceful as morning dew while he ascended the mountain paths. As Moses climbed slopes steep as ancient wisdom, the divine presence settled around him warm as summer winds. Here, between earth and sky, in space sacred as heartbeats, the first of the commandments began to flow, gentle as spring water, yet enduring as mountain stone. The first commandment descended soft as morning light, yet firm as mountain foundations. I am your God, who brought you from Egypt, gentle as shepherds leading flocks to safety. This truth settled over the mountain peaceful as evening dew, reminding them of deliverance precious as inherited gold. No other gods shall stand before me. The voice continued, flowing like quiet streams over sacred stones. The second teaching came gentle as dawn touching mountain peaks. Do not make carved images, it whispered, soft as wind through temple courts. For divine presence flows free as morning breeze, vast as desert skies, unable to be contained in forms fashioned by human hands. This wisdom settled like peaceful rain, teaching that true worship rises natural as prayer from grateful hearts. Like starlight touching evening waters, the third commandment illuminated the sacredness of divine name. Do not take it in vain. The teaching flowed smooth as honey, for names carry power precious as life itself. This wisdom reminded them that words should rise pure as incense, worthy as offerings in holy places. The fourth teaching descended peaceful as Sabbath evening. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. It whispered, gentle as mothers calling children to rest, 6 days flow like river currents for work, but the seventh stands still as temple pools, sacred as morning prayer. This rhythm of rest and labor moves natural as seasons turning, nurturing souls steady as garden growth. The fifth commandment came warm as blessing. Honor your father and mother. It flowed smooth as olive oil, teaching respect precious as inherited wisdom. This truth spoke of family bonds enduring as mountain stones, of gratitude flowing natural as springs in desert places. Through air quiet as midnight prayer, these teachings settled over the mountain gentle as evening shadows. Each word carried weight precious as gold, yet light as feathers. Speaking of relationships between divine and human, parent and child, forming patterns beautiful as temple tapestries. The sixth commandment descended gentle as twilight, simple yet profound as still waters. Do not murder. It whispered, soft as prayer yet firm as temple foundations. This teaching spoke of life precious as morning dew, sacred as altar flames, reminding all that every soul shines bright as stars in divine sight. Like evening breeze touching desert flowers, the seventh commandment floated down. Do not commit adultery. It flowed peaceful as stream water, speaking of faithfulness steady as mountain stone. This wisdom taught of love pure as spring rain, of promises precious as inherited rings, of bonds sacred as temple vows. The eighth teaching settled quiet as falling snow. Do not steal. It breathed, gentle as mother's wisdom. This truth spoke of honesty clear as morning light, of respect for others' possessions precious as trust itself. It taught that contentment flows natural as evening tide, bringing peace steady as northern stars, as soft as sheep settling for evening rest. The ninth commandment descended. Do not bear false witness. It whispered, smooth as honey yet firm as bedrock. This wisdom spoke of truth precious as living water, of words that should flow pure as mountain springs, carrying life rather than harm. The final commandment came peaceful as Sabbath dawn. Do not covet. It taught, gentle as shepherd's staff, guiding wayward lambs. This wisdom flowed deep as well water, teaching contentment precious as morning light. It spoke of hearts at peace, accepting as still pools reflecting stars, finding joy in what is rather than longing for what belongs to others. Around the mountain, air hung still as temple courts at midnight. While these teachings settled like evening dew, each commandment carried weight precious as gold, yet light as feathers, forming together a pathway clear as morning light toward lives lived in harmony with divine wisdom. Moses stood wrapped in clouds soft as prayer shawls, receiving these words precious as life itself. Below, the people waited patient as planted seeds, their hearts open wide as desert skies to receive these teachings, gentle as rain, yet enduring as mountain stone. As the last commandment settled gentle as evening shadows, Moses descended the mountain paths, carrying 2 tablets precious as morning light. The stone tables held wisdom etched deep as well water, permanent as mountain foundations. The people waited patient as gardens receiving rain, their hearts open wide as temple doors. When Moses appeared through clouds soft as prayer veils, his face shone bright as dawn, yet gentle as starlight. The divine radiance that clung to him was peaceful as Sabbath evening, speaking of encounters precious as inherited gold. These teachings, they learned, would flow through their lives natural as seasons turning. Like river water shaping stones, the commandments would guide them, forming patterns beautiful as temple tapestries in their daily ways. Each teaching carried purpose gentle as shepherd's care, showing paths smooth as ancient wisdom toward lives lived in harmony. The first tablet spoke of relationship with divine presence, precious as morning prayer. These teachings flowed natural as spring water, showing how hearts might turn toward sacred truth, steady as northern stars. Like incense rising in holy places, these first commands taught reverence pure as mountain air. The second tablet guided relationships between people, gentle as evening wisdom. These teachings showed how communities might live peaceful as flocks at rest, treating each other with respect precious as temple offerings. As we rest here in the gentle evening of our own time, let us allow the deeper waters of this ancient story to flow through us peaceful as prayer. Like waves touching distant shores, these commandments reach across years numerous as sand grains to touch our present moments. They speak to hearts steady as temple foundations about relationships precious as inherited gold. Each commandment flows natural as spring water, showing paths smooth as ancient wisdom toward lives lived in harmony with divine purpose. The first 4 commandments remind us, gentle as evening stars, that our relationship with divine presence stands sacred as altar flames. They teach us to keep space in our lives holy as temple courts, to let reverence rise natural as incense in sacred places. The remaining 6 commandments guide us, soft as shepherds leading flocks, in treating others with respect pure as mountain springs. They remind us that every soul shines bright as stars in divine sight, that truth should flow clear as living water, that contentment settles gentle as evening tide. Together these teachings form patterns beautiful as temple tapestries, weaving together divine love and human care. They show us how hearts might remain tender as garden soil, how communities might live peaceful as sheep in evening folds. Their wisdom flows deep as well water, nurturing lives numerous as desert flowers after rain.